see where that goes. And then my next shot, I want to hit just a little bit past that. I'm always keeping my eye on that ball, picking a specific target. I'm never just kind of swinging. Always picking a specific target. I want to land it about where that is. Right, pulled it a little long. Anyway, you leapfrog them, kind of get a feel for each distance. Try and spread them out maybe 5-10 yards. So you get to a full swing. So that was a little better. It landed on that ball, went a little further. And I'll just kind of do that with my lob, full swings. Hit some. My coach and I, we like to hit 3 different lofts with our wedges. So I'll kind of hit one in case I need to skip it to the back of the green. Something lower out there. Go into that yellow pole, and then obviously, because I say it after I hit it, so wherever it goes, and it's kind of a medium one, which is kind of the shot I'd be playing most of the time. And then after that, you want to hit something where you have to stop it over a bunker, and you got to get it up in the air fast. And then you try and do that for different yardages. But I spend a lot of time on my wedges before a round. I don't spend a lot of time up the bag. I don't hit 30 drivers. Just feel like I get in a good rhythm, a good tempo. Maybe different for everybody. I'm not saying this is the way to do it. It's just the way I do it. But I'll work my way up the bag from my lob wedge to the driver. I get to mid-iron. This is a 7-iron. And I'll pick a target out there. Say I'm going at the red flag or the red pole. And instead of sitting there and just trying to think about my swing all the time, I try and get that out of the way on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so by this time, I'm trying to pick shots. So I know that on number 18, maybe there's water left. The pin might be tucked on the back left, and I want to play kind of a high draw in there. And so I'm trying to start this about at the black pole, and from there work a high draw into the red with some trouble left. So we got specific targets, a shot in mind, and just play it. And that's probably in the water, but it's close. We have that high draw shape on it. So I'm working different shots. I'm trying to hit a little bit of a fade, a little draw, make sure I have a straighter ball as well. Just get a feel for where the swing's at, what shots are easy that day. And then I go up to the back and go up through driver, head back to the putting green, which is really important right before I go back out. And there's when I take 2 nickels. So after I hit balls, I've got about 20 minutes before. I only hit balls for maybe 30 minutes. I've got 20 minutes before I tee off now. And I take 2 nickels and I take some 15 to 20 foot putts. And this is a big strength of mine. I either lead the tour or very close to leading the tour in make percentage from mid-range, so 10 to 20 feet. And I think it goes a lot to the drill that I do, which is take 2 nickels, put them about a little wider than a ball, halfway in my line from the putt I pick. So say I pick a downhill right to left putt from here to this ball. And so I see that halfway point being, out here. So I'll walk up and I'll put my 2 nickels, maybe 2 balls width apart, and I'll come back, see that line, and I'll try and stroke the putt to get it to roll through there and to get to the hole and go no more than a foot past the hole. And that gets my speed, it gets my feel, and I take that same stroke I had earlier in the day, and I kind of apply it to a longer putt. And that's kind of my warm-up before each round. It may sound complicated, it's simple when you get into a routine. I think a couple of things that I hinted at there that are most important is, one, make sure that you're getting not only shorter putts, but also getting a feel of the speed of the green. And 2, when you're getting ready for your tournament round, don't worry about exactly how your swing's looking. Find a target, zero in on the target, and pick some shots. It's all about shot making out there. You're very rarely hitting off a flat lie with an iron, only really on par 3s. And you get out there, and it's going to be a lot easier when you've already hit the shot on the driving range and you have it on the course. So, any questions? I'll just kind of hit a couple balls here. And
Jordan, why don't you? We got a big tournament next week.
Sure.
In a place called Augusta. We have a few people that might be going to the drive, chip, and putt, and then watching you play in the Masters. Talk to us a little bit about that preparation and maybe some shots that you know you're going to need to hit. That's a tournament that you play on that golf course every year.
Yeah, so at Augusta, right now, the reason I had success last year at Augusta is because I had a very, very straight ball flight. I was comfortable with the movement in my swing that produced a very straight ball flight, because you do need some pretty tight lines around there. Augusta's all about angles. The most important thing to practice, you need some high, it depends on what the conditions give you, because if it's windy, there are times where you have to hit it low. Otherwise, you kind of really need to launch the ball up in the air around Augusta. You need to have a high draw with a driver. Those par 5s are a lot easier if you can work it around the dog leg a little bit. Number 10, if you can't hit a high draw, you're in a lot of trouble. But the most important thing that I start to work on before Augusta is my pitch shots, say 20 to 70 yards, because around the par 5s, oftentimes you're laying up. You can maybe, there's a lot, it's the only place where I can have a 5-iron into the green and I purposely hit it out to the side, because it's just smarter. It's just, you can still make birdie very easily on the par 5s there, but if you start going for it, it brings in bogey. So like holes like number 2, you're playing angles. I've got 50-yard pitches I've got to land, and they kind of bounce up the green and funnel, the crazy slopes out at the Masters. So I'm working a lot on those kind of pitch shots. I'm working on different heights, different trajectories, different ways to play it with spin, without spin, to get the ball really to pitch and stop and find my high point in the ground so that it can feed it as close as it can to the hole. Other than that, it's a golf course that plays for being able to work different shots in the greens. Bubba Watson has a lot of success at Augusta. He can hit the ball right to left on command, left to right on command, and drop it where he wants it. Because you need to be able to hit it both ways. And with his driver, he just hits a big slinging lefty slice, which he can certainly play around that place. So, curse him for this tee shot from the par 5. Whatever, he got lucky. So right now, what I'm working on with Cameron, I had a good week last week at Valero, got second, lost by 4 shots to Jimmy, who played great. It was really, really windy the whole week. So we were hitting into like a 20, 30 mile an hour wind every day on the driving range. And I just kind of started to inch this ball position back and back and back to try and hit lower and lower shots. And I took that onto the course. Well, you don't really want that with all these side wind, downwind holes, right? So right now we came and figured out that my ball position had moved back. So I'm trying to force it up a little bit with just a little narrower stance. I just kind of widened it and moved it back, which is common if you're hitting balls in the wind. And so right now I'm actually kind of hitting it pretty high, and I'm going to need to work with that this week. Relatively high for 7-iron for me, at least. I normally don't hit it very high, which is a good thing though, so I'm gonna need it next week. So yeah, that's kind of this week. For next week is just trying to play very straight shots, like the one I just hit. I try and pick very, very straight shots at specific targets, and this week it's a good risk-reward golf course. There's a lot of water and a lot of trouble around. You want to play shots 15 feet to the side of the hole just to be safe. And I'm going to need to really stick to that plan this week to prepare for next week.
And Jordan, you made mention of a big old draw for the Masters, and I bet a bunch of kids would like to see you take out that big stick. I know that's probably what a lot of people would love to see right now. Maybe hit a few of those for everybody.
Yeah.
Talk a little philosophy there with the driver, but whack away.
I put this driver in play in October. I got fitted for it. I'd played one driver for a long time last year, and I cracked the face. I'd played it so long. I've never really liked to switch equipment if I like what I have. And I cracked the face at the Players' Championship after like the second round, and I had to use the backup I brought with me. And I hadn't found one that I really liked until this driver. Really like this club. It's the new 915 from Titleist. I found the right shaft and driver combination. It brought my ball speed up a little bit, and it's still getting up in the air pretty good, which this driver is supposed to spin less, but for whatever reason I kind of maintain the same spin rate. So try and play just a higher straight ball here, kind of over that red flag. So that's the idea. We'd like to do that each time, but sometimes it's a little harder. So 10 at Augusta. 10 is a really interesting hole because it forces you to actually move the ball a lot, which you don't see a lot on any holes. Sometimes you have to move it a little bit, or it's an advantage to move it. 10, you have to, or the hole turns into almost a par 5. So there's a tree out on number 10. So there's tree line down the left side, and you actually want to go over the trees on the left side with a hook. Not quite as much as Rory did a few years back, where he hit it off the house, but you want a little bit of it. You don't really want to hit it straight, because you saw what Bubba did. He ended up making whatever. He ended up hitting it out of the trees and winning the Masters 2 years ago with it. But if you don't, none of us can hit that next shot. So, what I'll try to do here is there's a tree that's down the left side of the fairway that you want it to be your starting point, and then just hit this high hook from there. You really can put a lot of hook on it. So, say I'm starting it at the red pole now, and my fairway is anywhere left of the red pole, kind of over to, almost this net. It's a lot bigger fairway than it looks on TV, and it looks when you're standing there. There's really a lot of room down there, but you got to get it up in the air, and it's got to turn. And so with that idea, what I'm trying to do is I'm taking it back. My alignment changes, obviously. I want my driver pointed at my starting point, my shoulders square to that, and feet can be, there's a couple ways to hit this draw. You can line your feet up about where you want it, and then you just kind of swing towards the target, and the ball will curve back to your foot line if you have the right face at impact, which I do somewhat. I do a little bit more at impact with these high draws. I line up pretty square to my target, and then I just come a little from the little underneath with a little bit of closed club face at impact to get it to draw. Let's see if we can get a high hook on it. That was a drop kick, but that'll work there. I drop kicked it on Sunday with a 3-wood, and it still worked. Nobody knows that, but